Welcome to another episode of Bridging the Gap. I'm Johnny Angel, and this is my partner, of course, Byron Nash.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Well, we got a cool episode today.
I'm looking forward to it.
I like that we've been branching out and doing different things and having different guests from the past and from the current times and future. But we have a really interesting, talented artist on today that I actually have a family tied to that I didn't know about until recently. So Live from the City is a really popular rapper. Doing a lot of things in town and beyond, and we're excited to have him on the show.
I can't wait. This is what I like about what we do. You know, I have a big history of what happened and how it all started. And I lost touch somewhere along the line with the way music has developed.
Yeah.
And you bring that to me because, like, you're still out there doing it. I mean, you know, you're with the young people now, you know what I mean? And so we learn from each other, and I love it, man. I think I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah, I think the whole thing, too, is, like, understanding that, not to be cliche, but it is really all connected.
It is.
You know, you think about rap music and things like that, a lot of that was based off of music that was around in your time, right?
Absolutely.
And that kind of set everything up for a new genre altogether, and there was like innovation involved with that, and it's continuing to innovate, so it should be a really awesome conversation.
And when we have our guest on today, I'm going to talk about, I want to talk about how we were considered the rap artists of the day, with Doo Wop.
Yeah.
You know, and on the street corner, you know what I mean? And we got our message across by our voices.
You think about street corner stuff, I think about like ciphers when rappers are in the middle and they're kind of battling each other.
That's exactly right.
It's kind of the same context, so I think that's all related. Yeah. So speaking of rap, I've been producing music and I've been thinking about it from a different perspective. I find that I write differently when I don't write guitar first. Okay. So if I start with drums, all the music tends to sound a little different. When I start with guitar, it kind of has the same vein.
Yes.
So I've been listening to a lot of hip-hop and beat-driven music. So my record that I've been really rocking, this J Dilla is one of the best like hip-hop producers of all time. And he's really good at like sampling really old Doo Wop and really old soul records. But the thing I learned the most about him was understanding space. And he's known for, and you know how like a rock beat's kind of on top of it?
Yep.
He's known for being behind the beat, and it's kind of like sluggish, but it feels like it's wrong, but it's super right. It has a great swing to it. And so I've been writing in that realm to kind of push my guitar playing, but writing from a drum perspective first. So this is sort of my record for the week.
I love it.
J Dilla, JD.
My record of the week, since you're talking about sampling and about who's the king of being sampled, I'm talking about
James Brown. No one's been sampled more than him.
You know, James Brown is a dear friend.
Yes.
I worked with James Brown quite a few times. James Brown sent me Christmas cards until the day he died. He was my hero, and he is my hero because I was a drummer. And if you wanted to hear funk, if you wanted to hear soul, you listen to James Brown because it's right there. Yeah. And people would always say to me, like, what's soul music? What is soul music? What is, and it's the feeling you get when the music touches you ever so deeply, and that's all it is. You know what I mean? And teach me soul can't be taught.
No,
you got to feel it. You know what I mean? And that's why I want to talk more about the rap artists and the hip hop artists because it's the feeling they get when they do something.
Yeah.
And this guy was the epitome of it. I mean, James Brown was the man that started all this stuff. And when you look at where it came from and where it went to, it's all James Brown related, man. You talk to some of the other artists, like I'm talking about Michael Jackson. He's a mini James Brown. You know,
all day.
Prince. Are you kidding me?
Well, another interesting thing about James Brown, not just from the music perspective, but also talking to the people, and when he was kind of the Black Power era of his music, and kind of like really encouraging people to kind of have pride in themselves and all that stuff, it kind of reminds me of the same thing with hip hop. Each generation is speaking to a certain audience.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes we'll be like, oh, I mean, that's not really for me. Well, they're not talking to me or this other person, but they're talking what's current for that generation at that time. And I feel like that's sort of the same thing that James sort of perpetuated.
Look at James Brown, right? Dr. King gets assassinated, right? James Brown.
Oh yeah, the Detroit
doing
show?
No, the one up in Boston.
Oh, the Boston show, yes.
Here he gets on stage and he gives a speech that's just incredible. He should have ran for president that year.
Yeah.
He could have won.
He probably could hold it up.
And he stopped the riots. I mean, and then you look at the things that he did. He talked about the inner city kids. He talked about where it comes from, and how we put food on the table. And don't do drugs. Now, he wasn't James Brown did his own thing.
Yeah.
But he knew what was right and what was wrong, and how he tried to reach kids through his music.
Yeah.
And you listen to that. And then the highlight, in my opinion, was whenever he did that song In America.
Yeah.
For the Rocky thing.
Oh, that song was huge. Living in America? That was huge.
There it is, man.
Yeah. Awesome.
So tell me more about our artist, brother.
Actually, why don't we just bring him on and
Let's
have
do
him
that.
tell us about him.
I can't wait to meet him.
All right, guys, stay tuned. We're going to have Live from the City up next.
Jack in the Box.
Hey, Johnny Angel here with another Jack in the Box. Now, let me tell you something ginchy. I'm in a football mood today, right? Let's go back to the birth of Heinz Field, right? Now, Heinz Field, of course, we went from Three Rivers Stadium over to Heinz Field. This was the thing that they put out in the newspaper, in the Trib, talking about the new stadium, right? So I had this made up and put it on a plaque, and I displayed it at my restaurant over at PNC Park. And who comes in one day? We were talking. It's Franco Harris. So I got Franco to sign this for me in person. I love it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bridging the Gap. We are so excited to have our guest on, Jordan Howard, aka Live from the City. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's definitely an honor and a privilege for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So we have history.
absolutely.
It's weird. It's a short history, but it's a long history.
Right.
We met last year,
Yeah.
or whatever year that was, 2021,
Yeah.
and through the grapevine realized we were related,
Right.
cousins.
Cousins. First cousins.
Yeah,
Your first cousins.
yeah, very related, and ended up playing a big New Year's Eve show together and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And just tell me more about what you're doing. Let the people know about your music, man.
Oh man. So I am a songwriter, performer, producer, sound engineer as well. So I do a little bit of everything. I'm a sound engineer at YMCA Lighthouse.
Gotcha.
I'm the first person to be hired as a sound engineer in the YMCA network. So
Nice.
little known fact. I'm a producer. I'm a self-produced artist, self-recorded. I've done songwriting for myself. I've worked with other artists as well, such as Brittany Chantel.
Yeah.
I'm on the album Speaking with Swords. And I've done a lot of production for myself, and as well as the record label and group I'm a part of, which is called Driving While Black Records.
Nice.
So so shout out to Driving While Black.
Yeah.
Making a lot happen.
Did you know that you wanted to rap versus like sing or play instrument or anything like that? How did that come about?
I definitely knew I wanted to rap. Like it just was something that was always in me. And you spoke earlier about how you kind of just have to feel it. Like
That's it.
rap and hip hop was just something that I always just felt like. I just felt like it was always in me and always a part of me. And my mom would often play, just like a lot of hip hop for me growing up. She played a lot of Tupac for me.
Yeah.
106.7 Whammo was on all the time.
Shout out to Mom.
Shout out to Mom for sure. Like they was playing, but they're playing all the rap.
Yeah.
Jay-Z, Ja Rule, Jadakiss, people who was big at that time, and Outkast, and I think that really just shaped my, not even just like what I was interested in, what I wanted to do, but just the overall culture that I carry myself
Nice.
with. You know what I mean?
Was there like an element of being, so you're rapping, but you're listening to the music, and once you got into the production aspect, how did you fuse that together?
I think the best thing I did to fuse it all together was just to remain open, because it wasn't, I listened to rap predominantly, but I was open to all different types of music. My grandfather used to play a lot of jazz for me.
Okay.
So that definitely influenced the way that I approach my production, because I feel like as though like jazz is such an open format type of genre, and there's ways to implement that in hip hop just through like the small details, like the way your hi-hats might hit, or the way that you know, you might do a certain snare roll whenever you're putting the beat together. So I just took those elements and just took that kind of like, almost like creating a solo of some sort.
Yeah.
And I put that into my production. And then when it came to songwriting, I did the same thing as well. So sometimes I'll have a beat that's very consistent, but I'll let my flow kind of be like a solo, like almost like a saxophonist or something like that.
And that's jazz.
Yeah, like real jazzy.
You know, it's funny, as an old timer looking into what you guys do now, right? It's not new. I mean, it started back in that, you really go back to the 30s and 40s. When you talk about improvisation on a horn or whatever, that's what you do. And you do it with your mouth.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And when I first started, before I did any instrumentation, I'm a drummer, and I know where you're coming from with the hi-hat and a whole bit.
Right.
But when I first started singing, I sang on a street corner. And it was improvisation. And it's like you're singing the chords of what a guitar player would play. And it's similar to what you guys do, you know what I mean? So my dad used to say to me, I hate that music. You know, rock and roll, soul, rhythm and blues, right?
It's always been there.
Yeah, and he would be like, I don't want that in my house. That's not, until he saw a paycheck, and then it was okay. You know what I mean?
Different conversations. Like, yeah, it's all right. You know, it's not bad.
Just turn it down a little bit.
But when you get together with somebody like Byron and I were talking about how we used to trade off with a cappella, and you get together with other rappers, and you start, tell what that's about. Explain that.
Oh man, so we do have a word for that in hip hop. It's called a cipher. You know what I mean?
There you go.
And the kind of traditional way of a cipher would kind of be like you said, like doing Doo Wop, and people just improv off of each other, and you know, sometimes like I might spit 8 bars, and then one of my peers will cut me off, and then he'll go off of what I'm saying.
There you go.
You know, we'll just build off each other, and that's actually how a lot of songs get written, especially now.
Right.
It's just really what it is just it's a continuous cipher, and it's just continuing to build off of each other's ideas, and that's really just what music is about. I think.
Absolutely.
You know, and going back to your point about allowing myself to be influenced by other pieces of music, that's really what it is. It's like taking something that's already there, that's in the atmosphere, and just building off of it, and just turning it into something completely different, and just continuing to innovate.
And what you just said is important to older folks because they don't understand it. Because when you don't understand it, you're afraid of it.
Right.
Okay? Right. And when you understand it, you're communicating, brother. I mean, that's what you do.
That's definitely the crux of it. You know? Yeah.
I also think with communication, you know, with production with like hip hop and stuff. Like last year, we did the show together, but it was a live band setting, and now you've kind of worked live band stuff into your thing.
For sure.
How did that change how you went about maybe your delivery now that you have like sort of the live energy of instruments versus like rapping over a track?
Oh man, it changed it a lot because I've realized that my voice is an instrument in itself, and I've realized that I have to approach my delivery in a different way if my instrument is going to work within the scope of a band. And that was one of the things I learned when we did the New Year's Eve project was that okay, like I need to allow my voice to be an instrument, and there's a time where it needs to be out in front, and then there's a time where it needs to be not so out in front, and I need to let the guitar do some speaking, or I need to let the other vocalist do some speaking, or I need to the bass really needs to be present right now. So it was for me about learning, like you said earlier, it was about learning space. And I think that with rap a lot of the times it just was like, I think early on when people were like writing raps and delivering them, it was about like no space, like how many words can you fit within this 2 or 3 minutes. And I think that's the way that hip hop has even transcended, as people have just learned how to just let it breathe. You know what I mean? And that's really important. So I think that's probably the biggest takeaway, and what I've learned with working with a band when in my own live show as well.
I felt like one of the biggest lessons I learned as I was getting deeper into writing and just working with musicians, and I think Dr. Dre maybe said it, but you want space to be the other instrument. And so that's how I think about it. I've never stopped thinking of it that way, where it's like, well, I don't need to play, because I come from guitar-wise from like a rock background and kind of hard rock metal. You're like always playing. It's meant to be on the edge, and I'm like, I had to just keep peeling it back and see the power of hitting a chord and just pulling out. And so I thought about that with rap as well.
I learned from some of the old timers about a drummer. Okay, and one of the famous drummers said to me, It's what you don't play that's important.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And it's like, with a drummer, you can be as busy as you want, but you're not reaching where you need to be. It's the pause, it's the space, and that's what's cool about it, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's
That's a good point, and there's an actual science to space in music.
Yep.
Where, you know, when you nod your head to music, your head is nodding because your brain is filling in the space of the things that are not playing.
Yeah.
So that's really the scientific
Absolutely.
importance of having space in music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all real. It's all connected for sure.
Well, tell me about any future projects, records coming out, songs, singles. What you got?
So right now I am working on releasing my next mixtape. It's called God Is My Witness. This is a very important project to me because it'll be my first all new full length project in about 5 years now since my last project, Lightwork. And I'm really excited about this project because it allowed me to tell my story a little more. I took more of a narrative approach on this project, whereas the last project, I think I was just kind of rapping for rapping's sake, which is cool, but I think that my audience, as they've grown with me, they've kind of just been asking questions about me as a person and my identity as an artist, and so this is a narrative-based project, and I'm really excited about it.
sweet.
Yeah.
Last question before we go into the rapid fire. What's one of the hardest, I mean, there's the music scene and there's like subsets in the city.
Right.
What's one of the challenges, or a few of them, that you've met being a rapper, like the hip hop scene per se?
I think one of the biggest challenges that I've had personally has been planning. I think planning is such a huge challenge because people just want to do a lot of times, and people think that, like, oh, if I just keep doing and doing and doing, by some magical coincidence, I'm going to be successful, right?
Yeah.
But people don't understand that there's a lot of planning and a lot of executing of the plan and adjusting the plan on the fly that goes into just putting a record out or even putting together a show.
Yeah.
So I think just at large, that's one of the biggest challenges. I think another challenge has been just navigating, like learning how to be competitive without being divisive.
Yes.
Because I think there's a lot of competition within any genre of music, but especially in hip hop because it's a lot of bravado.
Yeah.
And it's a very like
The energy.
chest out thing. Yeah, you know, but I think that like there's a way to be competitive and push each other forward as opposed to being competitive and driving a force in between us. And that's really what I love about working with Driving While Black Records is that when we get in the studio, it's a competitive environment.
Absolutely.
In the sense of like, you know, we're not necessarily trying to like outshine each other, but we're trying to push each other forward
To elevate the project.
Exactly, and just make it that much better. Because if I'm going 110%, I know that Jordan Montgomery is going to go 110%, and so is JM the Poet, and then we're going to create the best possible song, you know, as a result of that.
Music's the exact same way.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Some of our best shows ever are when you have other musicians in the audience.
Oh yeah, you're like a little more accurate.
Right,
All
for
of a
sure.
sudden.
A game, brother.
Yeah, that's very true. Which we always should be on, but it's just a natural feeling.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Especially if it's someone you respect and
Yes.
admire. You're like, oh, I
Absolutely.
really don't want to drop the ball.
Absolutely.
So we have a segment. It's called, I don't know what we call this.
I like that rapid fire. That's
Rapid
cool.
fire.
Let's do it.
All right, it's something old, something new, something treasured, something true. Jack will start it off.
That always makes me because I'm old. All right, here you go, man.
You just start it off all the time. I'm used to it.
If he says to me something new, I'd be like, what do I say? All right, here we go. Something old.
Jay-Z,
Oh, okay.
Okay, something new.
Lil Uzi Vert,
Okay.
Something treasured.
my mother.
I love it, man.
I knew he was going to say that. I was waiting for it. I love that.
And that wasn't rehearsed.
No, that wasn't.
That's what I wanted to say.
She's like the #1 supporter.
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah, biggest fan.
Something true, something that people maybe don't know about you.
I love to read.
There you go.
That's good.
I love to read.
That's good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We're
Thank
going
you
to
for
come
having
back. We're going to do a little jam. He's going to drop some bars over top of the cajon and some guitar, and stick around, guys. Hey everybody, welcome back to Byron's Bodega. Today I wanted to share with you one of my prized possessions, which is Bjork, one of my favorite artists of all time. This is a collector's box set that I got back in probably in the 90s called Family Tree. You can't see the imprint on here, but It's just a cool imprint of a tree. But what's cool about it, for those who know what CD players are, it comes with this awesome set of art and packaging of mini CDs. And you know, Bjork's kind of weird and strange and creative, but you have full CD, but then it comes with these mini collectors. There's music on here, and then with these actually go into the imprint of the CD tray, so you slide them inside of there. And just always thought that this packaging was just like top notch. She's always ahead of the game, and that's why she's one of my favorite artists of all time. If you see this out, buy it. It's going to be worth something someday.
Oh, man.
Whenever you guys are ready,
Let's do
actually.
it. Yeah. Yeah. It's Big L.I. It's Big L.I. Yeah. Johnny Angel. Byron Nash. DWB. Look. There's gonna be some times your own people won't believe in you. Since you had the vision, you the one that's gotta see it through. I know God is real, little homie, I don't need no proof. Jesus, take the wheel, let our faith be our vehicle. Summertime, shoot around. Wintertime, implementing strategy. I was born a ball, so the game comes naturally. Not the violent type, but it was on, so I had to be. Mama dressing formal when the sun becomes a casualty. Mr. Is it summer yet? Walk through the city, they call me Big Live. Gemini sun. Pisces mood, I walk a thin line. Woke up this morning, chip on my shoulder, had to get mine. Coach logo t-shirt, VVS on my neck and wrist shine. I'm sliding and spinning like Billy Ocean. I took a trip out to the yard to feel the ocean. City too hectic, life hit the function, don't approach him. Straight pandemonium, hit the stage and it's commotion. Live from the city, you change, yeah, that's so true. Basically famous, now I'ma act like I don't know you. You probably be impressed with the checks I said no to. Counting up, reminiscing on what we had to go through. Nowadays, all of us living right, but we was broke then. Had that Obamacare, we couldn't afford no hope then. Doors of opportunity closed, the trap was open. I helped my community grow by staying focused. All I remember from school is writing lyrics in class. I remember days when they heard my music and laughed. Yeah, they didn't want to see me and my crew, but we stuck to it. Now all the ones who stay down get in the bag. My homie ain't got it, then I gotta dip in the stash. Never give it out if you expect to get it right back. I guess I'm built different. I'd rather put you in position to get back up on your feet so you never gotta ask. Cut from a different cloth. Even when I had to punch a clock, I was still a boss. Even when they had weapons of war, still peace upon us. We could be starving ourselves. We could feed the streets regardless. We was heartless. We wasn't taught how to love. They taught us how to sell drugs. Financial literacy came when you got close to the plug. The worst thing they could have done was get these youngins some gun. They popping shots, they just pulled it out to get them to run. But these days, my deposits have multiple commas. These people can't relate to my internal conflicts. My jeweler lied to my face. Don't know why I bothered asking them. Deep down, I know some poor child mined these diamonds in Africa. Used to want a better world, now I want a bigger chain. Used to make music with friends, now I sit with bigger names. Fireworks to celebrate, I thought they let the semi bang. I'm living proof that if you be yourself, you can do anything. It's Mr. Is it summer yet? Walk through the city, they call me Big Live. Gemini sun, Pisces moon, I walk a thin line. Woke up this morning, chip on my shoulder, had to get mine. Coach logo t-shirt, VVS on my neck and wrist shine. Hey, yeah, hey, oh, yeah, it's Big L.I. Hey, Johnny Angel Byron Nash, bridging the gap.
Thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely.
All right, guys,
Great
stay
job,
tuned for the
brother.
next episode. We will see you soon. Peace.
Peace.